Hey guys, welcome back to Embers and Ash. My name's Ashley, if you didn't know, and today we're talking all about labor and delivery. I am still pregnant. I'm still early. I'm 31 weeks, but now that I'm in the third trimester, my mind is thinking all about labor and delivery. I've rewatched my labor story video and it brought back all the feels. So today I want to talk about all the things I didn't expect from labor because there were a lot of them. I am a preparer. Like, I love researching into things before I get into them, not so much reacting to things. So preparing for my first child, I did all the research. But I didn't do like any research into labor and delivery. I did all the research on newborn life, baby life, that kind of thing, pregnancy, because labor scared me. Just that, you know, it can go sideways, it can go badly. It happens for a lot of women. It's out of your control. And I just didn't want to take in any of that information. And my mindset was kind of like, you know, it's going to be 2 days a week of my life in the hospital with whatever outcome I get. I would rather just deal with it as it comes for that short period of time and pour my energy into things like newborn life, baby life, which again is more of a long-term thing. So that was just my mindset and why I didn't expect some of these things. I also knew I wanted an epidural, so I didn't have to do I didn't feel like I needed to do birthing classes or learn methods of birthing a child. I don't know. I was just ready to react to it as it came. And as it turned out, it was an amazing experience. I loved birth because it didn't go sideways for me. Again, sometimes it's unpredictable how things will pan out, and I'm just very thankful with how it went. This is a big preface, but that is why I didn't know a lot of these things, and I want to share them with you. There's nothing scary in this video, I think. Just good information to have. But before I get into it, I want to thank today's sponsor, who is BetterHelp. If you don't know, BetterHelp is an online counseling service that matches clients with professional counselors and conduct online therapy sessions. They have over 20,000 licensed therapists and have helped over 2 million people. The way it works is BetterHelp will use an online quiz to assess your needs and then match you up with a licensed therapist that they think will be best for you. But if in any scenario it doesn't work out, it is always free to switch therapists at any time. You guys know that I am in love with BetterHelp, what they're doing for people, how accessible they're making therapy, especially in the motherhood community when it's so hard to get out of the house. I don't know what I'm gonna do with 2 children, how I'm gonna get anything done, but I know that it's nice having an online resource like this where you can conduct therapy sessions at any time from your home, whatever works for you. They're helping so many people that would otherwise not be able to get the help they need. Some of the perks are that it's available worldwide. You get 2 hours a month of time with your therapist, whether that's through phone calls, video calls, text messages. They have groupinars as well, and it's more affordable than traditional counseling. Plus, they do have financial aid if you need it. It is not a crisis line, it is not self-help, it is professional counseling done securely online. So if you want to start living a happier life today, check out the link in the description. It's betterhelp.com, that's HELP/embersandash, and you can get 10% off your first month and join the over 2 million people who have decided to take charge of their mental health with the help of experienced professionals. Thank you so much again to BetterHelp for being an ongoing sponsor. Now, let's get into the things I didn't expect from labor and delivery. I'm so excited to make this video. Like, I'm so stoked to go through labor again. It's something about like all your energy, mental, physical energy goes into this one beautiful thing, bringing a life into the world. Nothing external matters. Like, it's only about you and your family. And because, again, I didn't have anything go wrong, it was the best. So I'm excited to do it again. I'm not excited to balance a newborn and a toddler, but like, I'm trying not to think about it too much. Anyways, the first thing I didn't expect was false labor. I had no idea this was a thing. I just kind of had it happen and then had to like Google what's going on. There's other names for it. Apparently false labor isn't accurate because, or it's a term that people don't like using because even pre-term or pre-labor, whatever they call it, is helping you progress towards labor. So there's nothing false about it, but I use the term false labor because you're not actually going into labor. And so I just had a couple nights where I would wake up with cramping, you know, contractions. I couldn't sleep, thinking I was going to labor, and then they would just stop. It was the worst. Partially the worst because I didn't know what was going on, so I was just confused. Also not great because I would wake Josh up thinking that I was in labor, and he would have to go to work the next day with not a great sleep. And you know, when you think you're going into labor, it's exciting because you're tired of being pregnant, and then it doesn't happen. So I think I had it happen for a week, maybe 2 weeks prior to birth. But because you don't know when you're actually going to have the child, it's just really annoying because it feels never ending. And then when you're actually in labor, something I didn't know is that labor can feel like diarrhea. Very glamorous, I know. So I talked about this in my labor story video, but I was in early labor at home, and every time I was going through a contraction, I felt like I had to crap my pants. And then after the contraction, I would go to the toilet and nothing would happen, until I eventually realized, like, oh, this is just what it feels like to some women. You know, some women have back labor. I had front labor and poop labor. So that was fun. Like I said, I got an epidural, and so a lot of these things that I didn't expect are surrounding the epidural because I didn't look into it much. I knew that people did it. I knew that I probably wanted it. I entered labor thinking like, oh, I'll see how it goes. I'll probably get a shot. Maybe I won't. But like, if you're not preparing at all for a natural birth, I think it would be a lot harder. So I went with the shot, and I'm very glad I did. Anyways, the next thing I didn't expect was that you don't actually feel the epidural going in. That scared me because the doctor came in, the anesthesiologist came in to give it to me kind of before I was really ready. And so it kind of sparked all these feelings of, wait, I don't know what's going on. I haven't looked into this. I don't know what it's like. Josh is deathly afraid of needles, so he could not help me during this process. The nurse was there to help, and I didn't want to ask questions in the moment and scare myself, but you don't feel the epidural. They give you a numbing shot before they give you the epidural, and that shot just feels like any other shot, no big deal. So it was just a lot more fear in my case than was worth it because it was super chill. The next thing I didn't expect is that if you can't control your bladder, you get a catheter, which like isn't the worst thing. I've heard that if you go under anesthesia ever, like for any type of surgery, you get a catheter, like it's normal practice, but it's kind of scary, right? Like, especially never having one before, it doesn't sound very comfortable. So if, again, you've watched my labor video, you'll know that I had to put all my effort into peeing for them, for the nurses, so that they wouldn't give me a catheter. Thankfully, I didn't get one, but again, it would have been fine if I did. I just didn't know that was something that was gonna happen. I also didn't know that the epidural wasn't a one-time thing. Like, I thought that you just get like this big shot in your spine and that's it. But no, they actually insert this sounds bad. They insert a like tube into your spine, like a flexible tube. I don't know. I actually have no idea. I'm just going based off of how my experience went, and they like kind of have the tube taped along your back, and it goes to a IV drip, I guess, and you get to control how much epidural you get. I thought you just get your one-time shot, and whenever I hear of women saying their epidural ran out, I thought it's just you waited too long and your epidural was done. But like I said, you get to control it. They won't let you overdose, which is nice. And as long as my nurse was saying, don't wait till you're like in pain to give yourself another dose, because you need time for it to actually like take effect as well. So when you start to feel a little uncomfortable, get some more in you, and you should stay on top of it. That's what happened for me. And I was able to not feel anything. Another thing that I just had no idea was that Pitocin is the same thing as oxytocin. So what was it? I think, yeah, okay. I heard I was listening to pregnancy podcasts and all these things. I heard that Pitocin is the thing you get to help accelerate labor if your labor slows down. It can be very helpful, but it also can be very painful. Like a lot of women say that they could handle a natural birth without Pitocin, but if you get Pitocin, it makes your contractions so much more difficult, a lot more painful. And so I was at the point in my labor where it kind of stalled and they said, oh, we're gonna give you some oxytocin, is that okay? And I said, sounds great, no problem. And then as they're putting it in my IV, I'm like, what's the deal with Pitocin? And they're like, oh, like that is what oxytocin is, like they're the same thing. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I guess I'm just getting that now. Totally fine. Like I'm not picky about those things. I just wanted to have a baby. But yeah, it would have been good to know that they're the same thing. And I guess along with that, I didn't know that your epidural can stop labor. Like, I don't think I necessarily stopped progressing, but I was progressing really quick and then got the epidural and 4 hours had no progress, which is why I got the oxytocin. And it's fine. Like, I would have loved to have a natural progression, but I loved even more not feeling it. So that was kind of the trade-off with the epidural. And again, along with that, I didn't know that you should still feel like the tightening of your stomach when you have an epidural, not just nothing. Because I was sitting there thinking like, oh, I must be progressing because I am in labor and I just don't feel anything because I have an epidural. But the epidural takes away the pain. It shouldn't take away the feeling of like your stomach tightening, and like you should still feel like you're in labor, just not in a painful way. And I also did not expect how chill labor would be with an epidural. Like I always heard, the drugs make it so that you can't feel anything, but I was just kind of hanging out. I took some naps. Josh took some naps. But we wish that we had brought like board games or card games or something low-key, not like a really intense game. But I wasn't feeling anything, so we were just waiting for hours, and it would have been nice to have something to do until you start pushing. That was a lot of work. That was when I actually had to do something. And the last thing I didn't expect was that you don't just get checked willy-nilly for dilation. I always thought like, doctor would come in every hour and check you or something like that, or you could ask at any time to get checked to see your progression. But I had the, what's that? I think it's like a bacteria thing where you get like swabbed at, I don't know, 35 weeks or something, I'm pretty sure. And they find out if you have some sort of bacteria. If you do, then they have to be more careful with spacing out how long between checks. I think it was supposed to be like 4 hours. But also, even if you don't have that, they don't want to check you too often because it increases your risk of infection. And if you get an infection in your uterus, it can make afterbirth horrible, like big complications. So that's why I went so long not progressing, is because they couldn't check me too quick. And I just didn't know that was a thing. So yeah, that's everything I didn't expect from labor and that I'm now prepared for next time. I'm only 2 months away. Wow, I'm only 2 months away from my due date. Very exciting. I am definitely like getting in that mental state of ready for a baby in my arms. I am really excited, but also terrified. A different kind of terrified, but also the same kind of terrified as the first time. Because the first time you don't know what it's like having a baby, so it's scary. And the second time you don't know what it's like having 2 children, so it's scary. So I'm just gonna take it as it comes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.